Hello students, today I will discuss a new topic of inorganic chemistry, that is the group 17 elements. So in our last few classes we have already discussed about the group 15 and group 16 elements. So now we are in the P block elements. So after the group 15 and group 16 elements, now today I will start about the group 17 elements. So first of all, we have to know that what elements are there in group 17. So first of all, at top the element that is fluorine. After the fluorine, next one is the chlorine, then bromine, then iodine, and at last means at the bottom of the group 17 elements, the element that is actually astatine. Okay, so fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine. So among these five elements, the first four elements, that is the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine, these are known as the halogens. Why? What is actually halogens? We have called these elements halogens because these elements are produced in the form of the sea salt. Okay, so the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine, all the elements are non-metals. So in these groups we can observe that all the elements that are actually non-metals, and the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, these four elements are known as the halogens because they are produced in the form of the sea salt. Next, we are going to the minerals and ores of the group 17 elements. Here are a few of the examples are there. That is the fluorspar. Fluorspar, that is the CF2. So from fluorspars we can obtain the fluorine. Next is the cryolite, that is NF3LF6. So trisodium aluminium hexafluoride, that is the cryolite. So from cryolite we can obtain the fluorine. Next, the fluorapatite. The fluorapatite is the 3 molecules of calcium phosphate along with calcium fluoride. So here also from the fluorapatite we can obtain the fluorine. Next, if I will go to the trend of the group 17 elements with respect to the melting point, boiling point, bond length, van der Waals force of attraction, and intensity of color, the trends are similar. So in with respect to the melting point, boiling point, bond length, and the van der Waals force of attraction, intensity of color, the order that is actually the fluorine less than chlorine, less than bromine, and finally iodine. So iodine is in maximum amount and fluorine is in minimum amount. Then if I will look about look on the first ionization energy, then density, then the volatility, solubility in water, reduction potential, and the non-metallic character, then with respect to these physical properties, the fluorine is maximum, then chlorine, then bromine, and then iodine. And so in group 17 element, the fluorine and chlorine, these are actually gases. The bromine, that is actually liquid, and iodine, that is actually solid. Okay, so fluorine, chlorine, that is gas, bromine is liquid, and iodine is solid. So three phases are there in group 17 elements. If I will look to the electron affinity, in case of the electron affinity, the trend is a little bit different because the chlorine is maximum electron affinity element, and then fluorine, then bromine, and then iodine. And then the bond energy, if I will look to the bond energy, the chlorine is maximum here, then bromine, then fluorine, then iodine. Okay, so these orders are a little bit different, so that's why we had written these orders separately. Next, the fluorine, that is highly reactive due to its low bond energy. Okay, the fluorine is highly reactive, that is F2, that is highly reactive due to its low bond energy. The fluorine is pale yellow, chlorine is greenish yellow, bromine is orange red, and iodine is violet. So 4 different colors are also there. F2 that is pale yellow in color, chlorine that is greenish yellow in color, bromine that is orange red in color, and I2 that is violet in color. So why different colors are there in the same group elements? So the color of the halogen, that is due to the absorption and the transmission of light in the visible region. The transmitted light is the complementary color of the absorbed light. The absorbed light makes electron to promote from ground state to higher energetic states. As the size of the halogens increases, the excitation energy of the electron is going to be decreased, and thus the fluorine absorbs the high energy, and that is the high energy violet light can absorb, and transmits the low energy yellow light. And for that reason we can observe the color of the fluorine, that is pale yellow. Okay. So the color of the halogen, that is mainly due to the absorption and the transmission of light in the visible region. The transmitted light is the complementary color of the absorbed light. So the absorbed light makes electron to promote the electron from ground state to the higher energy state, and as the size of the halogen is going to be increased, the excitation energy of the electron is going to be decreased, and thus the fluorine absorbs high energy violet light, and it transmits the complementary color and the low energy yellow light. And for that reason fluorine is pale yellow in color, and in the similar way we can say that why the chlorine is greenish yellow and the bromine is orange red and iodine is violet in color. Next we are going to another trend, that is the oxidizing power, which I will look the power of the oxidation and the order of it. That is the fluorine is maximum here, then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. The higher oxidizing power of fluorine is due to the low enthalpy of dissociation of F bond. So why the fluorine that is actually showing the higher oxidizing power? The main reason is that the low enthalpy of dissociation of F bond. Next, the high enthalpy of hydration of F minus due to its small size. Okay, the high enthalpy of hydration of F minus due to its small size. And other few things are also there, like the fluorine exhibits only -1 oxidation state in its compound, since it is most electronegative atom. Everybody we know in the periodic table the most electronegative element, that is actually fluorine. So fluorine exhibits only -1 oxidation state in its compound due to absence of the d orbital, and the chlorine, bromine, iodine are showing -1, +1, +3, +5 and +7 oxidation states. Higher oxidation states found in the interhalogen compound, oxide and oxides. Okay, so we have here already discussed about the higher oxidation state of chlorine, bromine, iodine, that is +3, +5, +7. So the higher oxidation states found in the interhalogen compound, oxides and oxoacids. The interhalogen compound are formed when one halogen combines with another halogen. Okay. So the interhalogen compounds, this is mainly the mixture of the halogens. Means for example, if I will tell that IF7, okay, so here iodine is also there and the fluorine is also there. Okay, so when the two types of halogens are there together and they are making a compound, and this is known as the interhalogen compound. So here the pi bonds are not formed by the halogen atoms. Okay, here pi bonds are not formed by the halogen atoms, so only the sigma bonds should be there. For example, XA, XA3, XA5, XA7. In case of XA, there is no hybridization. In case of XA3, the hybridization of X, that is sp3d. In case of XA5, sp3dt, T2. In case of XA7, the hybridization is sp3d3. So here X is the central halogen atom with less electronegativity. So that is also important. So at first we have to write the less electronegative atom and then the most the electronegative atom. For example, IF7, not F7I. Okay. So first of all, I have to write the less electronegative atom, which would be the central atom, and then the more electronegative atom. So this is very little description about the interhalogen compounds. The strength of the oxidizing agent depends on the several energy terms. So in case of the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, the oxidizing agents are there. All are oxidizing agents. The fluorine is very high oxidizing agent. So the strength of the oxidizing agent, that actually depends on the several energy terms that can be explained by the Born-Haber cycle, like the hydration and the formation enthalpy, the vaporization enthalpy, hydration enthalpy, electron affinity, the dissociation enthalpy, like that. So many terms are there, and these terms are responsible for being the oxidizing agent of the halogens. Next, I am going to the preparation of the fluorine. So how can you prepare the fluorine? The synthesis of the fluorine, that is very difficult because it attacks all containers and all materials. Because fluorine is very reactive, the electronegativity is very high, and for that reason it is very reactive and it can attack all type of containers and all type of materials. But the anhydrous HF, anhydrous hydrogen fluoride, that is non-conductor. So HF is very stable, highly stable, and it cannot be oxidized to fluorine because the highest standard reduction potential value. The aqueous HF is good conductor, but on electrolysis it gives hydrogen and oxygen because it gives back again the HF and O2. So we have to use the anhydrous HF for the synthesis of the fluorine. So here one method is there which is known as the Whitlock-Grace method, that is based on the Moisa principle, and here we use mainly we can use mainly the electrolyte, that is fused KHF2. KHF2 is also known as the Fremise salt, and here the KF and HF we have to give the mole ratio of 1:12, and here we have to use the cathode as heated copper vessel and anode as the graphite. So if I have the KHF2, that is the Fremise salt, and if I will hit the KHF2 of the Fremise salt at 700 to 1000 degrees centigrade, it will form K plus, H plus and 2 fluorine minus. And then the 2F minus, it actually from the F2 along with the elimination of the electron at anode, and at the cathode the H plus, which actually accept the electron and it forms the hydrogen. So at anode we will get the fluorine, and at cathode we will get the hydrogen. So in this process, in this way, by using the Moise's method, we can synthesize the fluorine by using the fused KHF2, that is fused Fremise salt. Okay, so that is the method which is known as the Whitlock-Grace method. Then we are going to the reactions of the fluorine. The fluorine, that is very reactive. We have already said that due to the highest electronegativity in the all periodic table, the fluorine is very reactive. So it can be reacted with metals, non-metals. For example, it can react with Ag to form AgF. It can react with copper with the formation of CuF2. It can be reacted with carbon with the formation of CF4. It can be reacted with the non-metal like sulfur with the formation of SF6. Okay, so fluorine, it is less reactive with oxygen and nitrogen, as because everybody we know the second electronegative element, that is oxygen, and the third one is the nitrogen. It can be formed various compounds with the inert gas like XCF2, XCF4, XCF6, like that. So when the fluorine reacts with excess amount of ammonia, it will form nitrogen plus HF, and when the fluorine's amount is excess and less amount of ammonia is there, it can be formed nitrogen trifluoride, that is NF3, along with HF. Okay. So that is the reactions with the ammonia. So how the fluorine reacts with the ammonia, this is the reaction steps. So when the ammonia is excess, then the nitrogen is formed, and when the fluorine is excess, then nitrogen trifluoride is formed. The other reactions are also there, like when the fluorine reacts with potassium bisulfate, that is KHSO4, it forms K2S2O8, that is the persulfate, potassium persulfate, along with the formation of HF. The fluorine also reacts with the water also, like when the F2 react with the water, it will form HF, and if the amount is higher, means if the amount of fluorine and water is also higher, then it will also form the ozone instead of oxygen. So this is the reactive steps when the fluorine reacts with the water. Now we are going to the uses of the fluorine. The HF is used for the etching of glass. Okay, HF, the hydrogen fluoride, that is used for the etching of glass, and here H2SiF6 is formed, means when the HF that actually react with the glass, in glass the silica is there, so it will form finally the H2SiF6. Next use that is also there, that is the separation of isotopes of uranium by atomolysis. That is the use of fluorine. It can be it can separate the isotopes of uranium by atomolysis. The SF6, that is the sulfur is the non-metal, and when it reacts with the fluorine, it will form SF6, and that SF6 is used in high voltage electricity. The sodium fluoride and Na3LF6, that is used as insecticides. Okay, so NaF, that is the sodium fluoride, and trisodium aluminum hexafluoride, that is used as the insecticides. DDT and DDFT, that is as the fungicide. Freon, that is the CCl2F2 or CClF3, so that actually known as the freon, means the chlorohydrocarbon. So that is the freon, and that is used in the refrigeration. And the Teflon, that is the C2F4 whole N, that is the polymer of the C2F4, that is actually used in the anti-corrosive plastic. So many uses are there for the fluorine. Next we are going to the anomalous behavior of fluorine. What is the anomalous behavior of fluorine? Means the anomaly means the fluorine that actually react with other elements in different way. Means in the group 17, the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine is there. The chlorine, bromine, iodine, they also react with the other elements, but the reaction of fluorine, that is different from the other congeners of the group 17 elements. That's why we are discussing here the anomalous behavior of the fluorine. Mainly it is due to the small size of it and the highest electronegativity, low fluorine-fluorine bond dissociation enthalpy, and the non-availability of the d orbitals in the valence shell. So many factors are there for the anomalous behavior of the fluorine, like its small size, that is number 1. Number 2, that is highest electronegativity. Number 3, that is the low fluorine-fluorine bond dissociation enthalpy. And then number 4, that is the non-availability of the d orbitals in its valence shell. Most of the reaction of fluorine are exothermic. It forms only one oxoacid, that is HOF, while other halogens form number of oxoacids. HF is liquid due to the strong hydrogen bond, and others are gases. Okay, like HCl, HI, all are gases except HF. HF is liquid due to the strong hydrogen bonding. It can form the oxoacid, only single oxoacid, that is HOF, but the other congeners like chlorine, bromine, iodine, they can form number of oxoacids like HClO3, HClO4. So many oxoacids are there, and most of the reaction of the fluorine, that is exothermic due to the reactive nature of the fluorine. Next, we are going to the reactivity of the fluorine towards the hydrogen. The affinity for hydrogen of halogens, that actually looks in this order, that is fluorine is maximum, then chlorine, then bromine, then aniline. So fluorine is very reactive with the towards the hydrogen, and the acidic strength, that is the, in case of HI, that is maximum. So the most acidic in nature, that is HI, then HBr, then HCl, then HI. Okay. So the stability or the bond dissociation enthalpy, the order of it, that is HF is maximum, then HCl, then HBr, then HI. So here mainly we are discussing about the hydrides of the group 17 elements. Then the melting point and the boiling point, the HI is maximum in melting point, then HF, then HBr, then HCl, and in case of the boiling point, the HF is maximum, then HI, then HBr, then HCl. So that is the reactivity towards the hydrogen. So mainly the hydrides. So here we have mainly discussed about the hydrides of the group 17 elements. Next, the reactivity towards the oxygen. So fluorine, it can form the compounds with the oxygen. Only two compounds are there, that is OF2 means oxygen difluoride, and O2F2, that is dioxygen difluoride. OF2 that is stable at room temperature, but dioxygen difluoride, that is O2F2, that is unstable. So both are strong fluorinating agents. O2F2 oxidizes Pu, means Pu to PuF6, removing the Pu from spent nuclear fuel. Okay. So the uses, that is that actually the uses of the O2F2. O2F2 oxidizes the Pu, that is the plutonium, and 2 PuF6, removing Pu from spent nuclear fuel. And the chlorine, bromine, iodine, that form the oxides where the oxidation state, that is +1 to +7. So chlorine, bromine, iodine, that actually form the oxides where the oxidation state is +1 to +7. Next, the stability of the oxides. The stability of the oxides, that actually follows the order of the I greater than Cl greater than Br. So in this way, the oxides of iodine, that is very stable, then the oxides of chlorine, then the oxides of bromine, and the oxides of fluorine, they are here I am not discussing because only two oxides are there in case of the fluorine. The Cl2O, ClO2, Cl2O6, Cl2O7, so these are the oxides of the chlorine, that is highly reactive oxidizing agent and tend to explode. ClO2 used as a bleaching agent. Okay, ClO2 that actually used as a bleaching agent. Br2O, BrO2 and BrO3, these are unstable and very powerful oxidizing agents. So these are also oxides, and these are the oxides of the bromine, that is the Br2O, BrO2 and BrO3. These are the oxides of the bromine, and these are unstable and powerful oxidizing agent. Similarly, the oxides of iodine, that is I2O4, I2O5, I2O7, these are insoluble solids and decompose on heating. Okay, these are insoluble solids and decompose on heating. I2O5, that is good oxidizing agent and used in estimation of carbon monoxide. Okay, so we will read this portion in the Dietz reaction, that is known as the Dietz reaction, where I2O5 is reacted with the carbon monoxide. So I2O5, that is good oxidizing agent and that is used in the estimation of the carbon monoxide. So that is all about our hydrides and the oxides of the group 17 elements. So in our today's class, mainly we have discussed about the physical characteristics of the group 17 elements, their physical state, their increasing order with respect to the melting point, boiling point, bond length, electronegativity, reduction potential, like that, and the color of the halogen compounds. So these things we have already discussed, the oxidizing strength of them. Then we have already discussed about the interhalogen compound, and then how can we synthesize the fluorine by using the Whitelaw-Grace method, which is mainly based on the Moissan's principle. Here we can use the KHF2, that is the Flemish salt. Then the few reactions of the fluorine, as because fluorine is very reactive, so here we have discussed about the so many reactions of the fluorine, like with metals, with non-metals, with ammonia, with water, and finally the uses of fluorine. And after that, we have also discussed about the anomalous behavior of the fluorine, why fluorine is different from the others. Others means the other elements of group 17. So these things we have already discussed. Next, after that, we have discussed about the hydrides and oxides of the group 17 elements. Okay, so in our next class I will discuss the other things which is related to the group 17 element. Thank you.